rolling. We are having our first discussion episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second episode of Under the Middle Rope. I am your host, Jose Tabuada, and I am very excited to finally have a good discussion about wrestling. It's been long overdue, 3 years in the making, just under 3 years in the making. So here we are. I am excited, and let me tell you what to expect coming up in the episode. So we are going to be discussing the impact that COVID-19 is having around the world and the world of wrestling. I think before we get into the discussion of wrestling, I think this is one thing I wanted to bring up. We open the show with the discussion of COVID-19 and the impact it's having around the world, because anything, wrestling, sports, and all that comes second. Our entertainment comes second, because I think our health is important, and we're going to be discussing, the impact that it's having around the world, and I think it's important that we do, because it is our reality, yes, but it also shows that we can come strong out of this, I believe, and I think that's the one thing I want to emphasize. And then we discuss the impact it's having on wrestling, from the shows to we have our big discussion on WrestleMania and how that is going to unfold. And we had a solid conversation just moments ago, and I'm excited to share it with you all, because again, this is the first discussion episode, and I'm dying to talk about it. Of course, not the topic you want to open up with, but it is what it is, and hopefully we can try to make the best of it. The two guests for today, because I brought guests, like I said, are two great friends of mine. One of them who was a host with me on After the Count 3 years ago before we shut down, and that is the great RJ Stacey, one of my great friends from my college program. He's going to be sitting down with us talking today about this. And the other friend is another great friend of mine, Mr. David Morassutti, who was so helpful and crucial to the setup of all this. He's been such a big help, and again, I've annoyed him a lot, and thank goodness that he's here to be a part of this, and essentially say, okay, you annoyed me enough, let's get on. So very excited for this. As a heads up, just before we start the episode, it was recorded on Skype, and of course that is what's going to happen most of the time as the weeks go by as we do this, and we think it came out to the best that it can. Of course, the quality audio video is going to be a little different, but we have it for you anyways, and we are very excited to present this. So let's get the show on the way, shall we? Here is our episode discussing the coronavirus and the impact it's having around the world and wrestling. Enjoy. Okay, guys, so welcome to the first quote-unquote themed episode of After the Count of Under the Middle Rope. Oh God, I misspelled name. Introducing right now in the Ferrari hat and representing Italy, because he is Italian, my good friend David Morassutti, who has appeared I think twice on the show, and my former quote-unquote After the Count podcast host, who is now here as a guest, Mr. RJ Stacey. And I sorry, David, not to put you aside, but I missed RJ. We haven't done this in so long, and it's good to do this again, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's nice. And from the comfort of my couch.
Yeah, or Morassutti's case, the comfort of his music studio. Are those lightsabers in the back?
Oh wait, hold on. The lightsabers are they're right there. So that's for a project that my sister. I had to. It's funny because I felt like a kid changing the batteries in them.
Yeah, I think I have a lightsaber somewhere around. Or I don't know if you have one, but
I do not.
They're entertaining. I'll give you that. RJ, I know this is kind of weird for us, because like I said last week, it kind of sucks that we got that abrupt ending from
For sure.
from the middle count. We had a new champion in our friend Emma, who got all the purchase of SummerSlam.
Oh yes.
Right. But given that we couldn't properly coronate her, or like properly crown her, I think you're still the technical reigning champion.
Yeah, if she hasn't been coronated, then I'm technically the returning champion of 4 years, 3 years.
That's more than 50% of the way to Bruno Sammartino's reign.
The longest reigning champ of the current era.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously today's topic is about what's been going on around the world. First of all, how are you guys doing with all this? Because it's pretty scary. I don't think a month ago we would have said we'd be here in a situation where our countries are locked down, we're not allowed to go anywhere and all that stuff. How are you guys holding up with all this?
It's weird, man. It's so weird staying in your house all the time. I'm feeling all right though. I have I don't know, I cough sometimes, but I'm somebody who always coughs, so it's not like a big time. Big time thing. And yeah, cover your face. I'll social distance myself. We're truly social distancing right now. So my cough, you shouldn't be too scared.
Yeah, I mean, the original hope was to have you guys here with a little table set up in my room, and then the cameras and the microphones and everything. But again, for the best. Morassutti, how are you holding up with all this?
I've been spending a lot of time in this office. This is like this office, yeah, as you can tell, was mostly for music room slash do some work in here, but doing 8 hour shifts in one room, like, dude, it's it's
Yeah.
so hard. Like I miss this type of stuff, the interaction with people, being able to talk with someone, not talk through a chat.
Yeah,
We have video calling, but it seems like more of a distraction than I'm working, then I can just say, hey, what's up to somebody at the desk
yeah,
next.
exactly. I mean, I've been stuck in my room for the last now. I think I've already had 11 or 12 quarantine shifts, and it's just not doesn't get any
Wow.
easier. Yeah, we went to quarantine I think March 13th or 14th I think, and then since then it's just been like it's cool that I have the setup, but yeah, I want to work somewhere else. If I'm gonna keep working from home, at least work somewhere else, and I can't even go anywhere else because this is getting ridiculous. There goes my dog again. So it is what it is, I guess. I know, and obviously that's had such a big. I mean, all of us are involved in sports in some shape or form. We know we were together in college, studying sport journalism, and now all of our stuff is gone. Everything is gone, and I think I've had it. Like I think I'm annoyed with everything being gone, guys. I don't know about you, but it sucks.
Yeah, me too. And the sick thing is, this is like maybe the beginning too. Like this isn't even like this is like a taste of it. I really hope it's not like that. Like we have nothing on right now. Like thankfully, wrestling is doing its thing right now still.
Yeah,
Like I am very happy that it's still doing its thing, even to like the empty arenas and stuff. But like I'm thankful that it's still something that's giving us fresh content right now.
yeah, and I think I mean, I know today was supposed to be MLB opening day, for example. We were
Yeah,
supposed to be in stepping aside from wrestling and enjoying our baseball, but we can't even get that at all.
No, it's definitely, when, I mean, especially because, Jose, you and I work directly in sports, having to write, I can't even count how many stories I've written on, COVID-19 and it canceling or postponing or somebody getting it. Like I feel like like a news journalist right now, but I'm a sports journalist, and
yeah,
I remember there were some shifts where I was just constantly writing, and I'm just like, I don't know how much longer I could take writing stuff. I feel like it's sort of slowing down a bit. I mean, I know in the States the cases have blown up.
Not even close.
In Canada, I think we've dealt with it a little bit better in terms of, we've addressed it as a serious thing as soon as we realized it was serious. So I feel like that will help maybe get things back quicker. But I was listening, somebody mentioned that down in the States, that's where it could get worse and keep things from getting back to being back to being right.
Yeah, yeah, and
I can
like
see that.
for example, I know like RJ, you were supposed to go to the UK today. I was supposed to
Yep.
be in New York today. We were both supposed to go on trips, and I mean, thankfully, it's been canceled. And it's kind of a relief now because I did hear that New York is like probably the next biggest city in the world to be dramatically hit by this really, really, really badly. It's again, I don't know what else you can say. I mean, what else can we say on this other than holy crap, it sucks.
Yeah.
I just got off the phone with Matt Martin, who's an NHL player who plays in New York. Like he plays for the Islanders, and he said he's never seen it get to the point where people are being told to go home. But he said it's such a hot zone there. I heard on the news that they're like the morgue is starting to run out of space.
Yeah, it's not good.
That is
That's
freaky.
Yeah.
oh
It's
man.
but I think that you need to hear that to really understand this is not this is
No.
serious.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I know this is a wrestling podcast, obviously, but I think it's important that we talk about this first before we go into, like, because I think wrestling is going to be put to the side. Anything is going to be put to the side. Our
For sure.
sports, our fandom for anything, right? I mean, aside from family coming first, right? It's protecting everybody. And that's why I think it's good that we opened the show with this to kind of discuss how important and how crucial this is before we get on to what we're going to discuss. Because, like you said, it's way more serious than I think any of us could have imagined. I know we laughed it off probably a month ago. Oh, probably be a 2 week thing, like a little flu, and now it's turned into thousands dead, thousands getting more cases, and it's only going to keep going higher and higher. And like I said, I know more city you had the Italian flag today, and yeah, and like, it's something. I know you're Italian. I have family in Italy. I don't know about or you, RJ, or whatnot, but I know Morassutti and I, we have a close contact with that country, and we're just hoping for the best at this rate, right? Like that's all we can do. And of course, other places like Iran. Of course,
I
other
love it,
places.
David.
We got. Yeah, that's right. It's probably going to be. I don't know. And it's funny you bring it. Or Morassutti brought up earlier that like he's directly in sports, and I directly in sports as well. And my job as a content curator is I'm looking at the third party stuff, and this is where like it's a bit relieving that sports is still an escape because I have to look at third party sources. I just had a meeting with my work crew yesterday, and the biggest topic now to think the focus is wrestling because that's the only thing that's still going, and
For sure.
I think it's a good segue to transition into that. What today's episode is going to be on, and which is COVID-19 and the impact on wrestling and New Japan. I know, for example, places like New Japan Pro Wrestling had their New Japan Cup canceled, and
Yep.
so many much more. I think their next biggest thing is Madison Square Garden in August, if it's going to happen at this rate. AEW, I don't know if you guys have been watching weekly, but they've been doing their empty arena shows, and I think starting off with that, they've been holding off. I think they've been somewhat good with this into having like their superstars in the barricades and just still wrestling. What do you guys think of that?
I think they've been making it work. I think they've been doing their absolute best to make it work. I've still been tuning into the shows again, like we were talking about before. It's giving us fresh content. I think the guys that are going out there, the elite and the inner circle, are going out and they're actually making it work with their promos. And even the WWE is doing the same thing. They're really trying to make this work for everybody. And I really do think they're doing a good job of putting on the most entertaining product they really can without what is maybe the most important part of the entire atmosphere of wrestling, which is the fans. But they're really doing their absolute best to actually put on something that's still actually worth watching.
I think that's the big thing is all these wrestlers, because most of them are consider themselves entertainers as well. This gives them the chance to work on those mic skills. We've talked about how some are kind of rough around the edges. This is your moment to figure it out because you don't have the crowd to help you and aid you in a when you go on a bit. Sometimes that's what works for some, but it doesn't work for everyone. So I think that's the crucial thing is working and trying to make those adjustments only makes you better in these times.
Yeah, and I think I've seen the Twitter. I know, and some of my wrestling group chats that I'm in, we've been saying that as well. So like, it's their chance to improve your skills because, like, I mean, most of the time they kind of tell you, it's like the traditional, if you want to get good, talk to yourself in the mirror kind of thing, right? This is they're talking themselves in the mirror because, you have to adapt. And I think at least with AEW, I think right now they're doing a great job in doing that. They're talking to the camera as you should because they're talking to us. We need to hear their voices to somewhat get that relief from all this. And I mean, yeah, and surprisingly, they're still doing their matches. And I will say personally, we do see the rules of social distancing. We see the rules of like keeping separate. And so I think that's my next question. What do you guys think of like the fact that wrestling matches are still happening? We're getting to WWE a bit because their format is, and we're going to discuss that. But how do you feel about the fact that there's still people on the barricades, cheering on, the fact that there's still wrestling matches, that contact in this time still going on?
It's actually it's a tough thing that I've kind of thought about as well because like I love the fact that they're going out and still doing their part for us, but I mean at the end of the day they are still kind of, it's a lot of physical contact like you just said, like they are still touching and like being really close to each other and not very much the opposite of social distancing. But again, like there's still what in America right now, what is it, how many people are you allowed to have at a gathering, like 10 or whatever less?
It's recommended to be 50, but that's subject to interpretation as by the CDC. I think Morassutti, maybe as well, I think any places can choose. I think places like Orlando says 10 or less, which we'll discuss in a bit. But I think right now the safe number I think is 50.
Well, that's the thing, right? Every state has their own. They put in their own bylaws for these things. Mm-hmm. They go with the CDC recommendation, which is 50, but states can take it another level. Like before all this even happened, I know like Ohio banned fans, gatherings of more than 200. California was doing the same. So, it's not like up here in Canada where we're a little more united in how we're doing it in that, okay, 50 or more, not happening. Down there, they can take it to a different, and of course we can do it different here too, but I think we're trying to do it in a way that it's kind of the same throughout. There's consistency throughout. Although Newfoundland, I don't know if you heard, they're like actually putting people in, like they're arresting people for this stuff.
Yeah,
They're,
I think I did hear as well. I mean, at least Canada-wise, if somebody's coming home to Canada, they must be in a 14-day quarantine, self-isolation, and if not, they are subject to arrest, which is, not to be rude, it's the right call. I'm a big fan of that. It has to happen.
It feels extreme, but it's like it's gonna keep people at home. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it's the right thing to
I
do.
think, like I said, I think what AEW is doing in regards to, I think it's cool that there's some entertainment. I think they should be pulled back a bit. I think they need to find a balance of showing that example, because it's a public platform. It is, you know, you are on a stage that not too many people are having right now. Like, essentially, I think wrestling, I think, would be the only big thing in the world right now. That's like where you can, like, they have the attention on them because they're still doing stuff.
Yeah, they're still.
Yeah, I think so. In my opinion, I think if there was a better, like, I think less of it, and I think it's a good chance to show that, yeah, you can social distance. And then I think the next question is, like, did they get tested? Are they cleared? Or does everybody know their statuses? Right? I think, and of course, it makes you wonder: is there a chance at this? Is there a chance of, like, potential infection? I don't know. It's a little weird.
well, there's a good chance. There's
Very
probably
good chance, yeah.
I don't think they're all getting tested. I think it's only going to be if there's symptoms present. And I mean, from what we know, I haven't seen a wrestler go on a coughing spree during a match. So I think that's.
You ever think about that? Like, what if, like, in the middle of a match, like, a wrestler just, like, really needs to cough or, like, sneeze, and they just, like, have to just, like, hide it for
Even
as long as they have to.
Imagine in just even like a regular show, like we don't see that.
No.
Like, see coughs. I don't think I have ever seen a cough or sneeze during a wrestling match.
Doing a super kick into a cough, that'd just be.
That would hurt.
So, super kick. So, I think now that the next question is, like, how do you, like, I think we kind of discussed it. We kind of covered it in the sense, like, you know, what do you think about the empty arena look? How do you think it's working so far, aside from, like, you know, the wrestlers interacting? I guess it is what it is, gentlemen. I mean, what else can we say about it other than sure?
It's definitely given us a different look at the product, and definitely giving us a different look at, like, wrestling in general, because we've never seen anything like this before. So it's different, and WrestleMania is going to be different, and everything is going to be different. But it's, like you said, it is. This is life right now. It is what it is. It's something, and it's actually, because it is still going on, I know of non-wrestling fans that are sports fans that are tuning in.
That's
so
big.
that is nice. And as you said before, like, this is a platform that they have that not everybody has. So they are trying their best to take advantage of it, and I think they're doing a pretty decent job.
I've been in situations where I've been at sporting events and there's like maybe 5-6 people there. So the empty arena feel, when it's completely silent, it's weird. Like, there's no other way about it. It is weird. You know, I'm seeing. That's just great, RJ.
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
Sorry for those that are not watching, not watching on YouTube. RJ flipped his camera to his legs. Pretty good legs, I'd say, in the shorts. Thankfully, shorts.
I know, I was about to say,
thankfully.
Thank God. You're not
Morassutti, as you were.
No, I still think it's weird, the total silence. You know, there's just no other way about it, though. You can't recreate. Like, if they were to pump in, let's say, crowd noise, that would be super weird.
Oh my goodness, I think even WWE, you know, when WWE pumps in crowd noise in the first place. I mean, anytime like before SmackDown went live, when they're like recording those Friday night shows, and you hear the obvious crowd noise, or like there's somebody that the crowd is booing. Like, how many Roman edits did we get in the past of, like, the crowd, like, allegedly, like, cheering their heads off when they're just booing him away till he gets a gorilla or something. It's like, I prefer if there were no crowd noise, and, like, I'm sorry, like, because, like, it's like WWE wants you, at least in WWE's case, or anybody's case, they want you to react this way, and you can't force us how to react, right? Yeah. So, like, why would you? Oh, I hope not. Never. No. And I think that's a good transition. As RJ brought up, WrestleMania 36 is still going to happen. Originally in Tampa, Florida, at beautiful Raymond James Stadium. Somebody's home.
Yeah, somebody's home.
And like I said last week, everybody, this is a low budget podcast where a lot of stuff can happen at home. It is what it is. If I wouldn't be surprised if my brother walks in the door like any second, or my family. But anyways, WrestleMania 36 is still happening. It was gonna happen at Raymond James Stadium with a beautiful big pirate ship in their NFL stadium. For those that don't know, Raymond James Stadium, I was pumped for that. I'm sure there's gonna be pyro off the ship. I think I saw like in the Ticketmaster plan that the ramp was again going to be similar to WrestleMania 33's in Orlando. It's a long ramp, like cuts off like I think 2 or 3 sections. That's gone. Now it's now going to be moved to the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. And at the time of this recording, they are still recording WrestleMania. I know that Orlando put up made an announcement that as of 11:59 tonight, everything is locked down at least until April 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
I think, and so WWE is trying to tape everything. They've tried. I think they taped 2 weeks of Raw, 2 weeks of NXT, 2 weeks of SmackDown, and now for the first time ever, it's a 2-day WrestleMania event. Where do we even start with this, guys? Where do you want to start? Because there's a lot to unpack. Let's start with this. The 2-night. What are you guys thoughts on splitting it up into 2 nights?
So this is actually something that I think they could have actually gotten away with before they had to tape it.
Yeah.
So I think the 2-night thing might actually work in their favor because WrestleMania was getting long, man. Like it was getting long. Like I was like getting drowsy last year, and it's not because I was getting bored. It's just because I was getting tired. Yeah. It's just so much to digest. So doing 2 nights might actually really help them because then you can have one title main event on one night and one title main event on the other night,
which is what's going to happen. Yeah.
And I'm thinking and almost hoping that if this gets received well, this might actually be something they continue doing in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I totally agree. I think you have to. I think people were. That's the big thing the last few years. It's been way too long. So the only way you can realistically do that, you have to cut matches, which they don't want to do. So now, okay, let's just put it off onto 2 nights, and I think that would be the best thing. I'm in terms of the way that they're doing it. It's not going to feel like a WrestleMania. So I'm wondering if, like, I was on the fence of maybe you don't label it as a WrestleMania and you try to rebrand it as something else. Because I don't know how you can call, like, you think about, like, a guy like Drew McIntyre, who's going to have his first ever, main event WrestleMania match.
First WWE Championship match, mind you. This is huge. This is big.
Massive. That is probably going to win. Or he was probably going to win before this.
I mean, I think he still can, but that's a fair point. Go ahead, Morassutti.
It's like the whole point of the WrestleMania moment is, the crowd, the fireworks, the loud ovation. I just find it really hard to get a wrestler to think that it's the same. It's going to be really tough to make that work. And that's where I thought, okay, I know that you want WrestleMania, but maybe you just don't call it a WrestleMania. You do something different because it then it kind of cheats out those people who want those WrestleMania moments.
Now I can piggyback on both because RJ, you said you were getting sleepy. I know I love to brag saying I was there last year, but I was there. And it'll always put a smile on my face that I made it last year. And I'll tell you this. By the main event, the triple threat, Rousey, Charlotte, and Becky, that started 12:05, I think. I was slowly closing my eyes in my seat at MetLife Stadium. I was closing my eyes. I was dead because I got to MetLife at, what was it, 2:30, I think. The pre-show, maybe 3:30 because the pre-show started around that time. So we saw the whole pre-show. Pre-show started at 5, saw the whole thing. And then the main show started at 7, and then by midnight, assuming we thought it was going to be finished at midnight, and in fact, it went to 12:30 Eastern in the morning, and you're like, holy smokes, it's dead. We were extremely tired, and then we got rained on, but that's a different story. But yeah, and to follow up on Morasutti's point, I mean, when I was there last year, right? I mean, for example, Kofi Kingston, we went nuts. We screamed at the top of our lungs. I was recording myself. I was screaming. I was so happy for the guy. I mean, because that's something that I felt. I mean, we knew it was gonna happen. We had a feeling that Kofi was gonna win because they want that Cinderella story at WrestleMania, and we were just so happy. I've never seen a more genuine, loud pop as that. And I've been to a lot of events. I mean, RJ, you and I were at the Royal Rumble. We saw Nakamura win. We went nuts when he threw Roman over the top. But the Kofi moment was so big and so special for him. And so, and again, to kind of like back up Morasutti's point, that was a true WrestleMania moment. And now you're back in another situation where somebody who we've been waiting to see a long time, somebody who was an IC champion, eventually a jobber, released, worked his way back, got really, really built, returned to NXT, became champion, immediately jumped on the main roster, won the Royal Rumble, got that opportunity, and it's going to be crickets.
And it's actually over, too.
And it's over. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, it's over, and it sucks. It really, really sucks. That being said, I mean, being the big WrestleMania fan that I am, I'm kind of happy that it's happening still. And I think that's the next point. Should it even be happening in the first place? And I know the 2 nights is special, and like RJ said, I know New Japan, they did Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year with 2 nights, the 4th and the 5th, which was surprisingly really well done. I was a big fan of it, and yeah, it could happen next year. Who knows? I mean, now that the date is set, March 28th, 2021 is set. Aside from that, but again, to Morasutti's point, I can see why you would say you want to change it from WrestleMania to something else. And that's the thing. Should it have, at the end of the day, Morassutti said his point, should it have been postponed, RJ?
So I kind of understand why they're trying to get it all out of the way and tape it and then have it, but I do get what David's saying. Like, are they even going to go through with a lot of these WrestleMania moments because there's not going to be fans there? Like, is Drew going to lose and maybe win it at SummerSlam? And then they try to make SummerSlam a huge deal this year because WrestleMania was kind of a bust? Or are they going to do it like in Saudi Arabia, have this like huge, massive Saudi Arabia show? Or are they going to make... Sorry,
Oh, good Lord. Go on.
Like, I do think it's possible that they just want to get this WrestleMania completely over with, but they still want to have WrestleMania because Vince wants to have WrestleMania. And I do think that some sports fans might tune into WrestleMania this year because they want something to watch. And I think that's why they still want to go on through with it too, because like you said earlier, they have the platform. They want to put a show out. But I do think that is going to be less of a WrestleMania and more of just kind of just like a network special almost.
Yeah, I think no matter what people do or what they can do, I don't think it's gonna get the same WrestleMania effect, which sucks because at least, like I said, at least to me as a fan, it's a special night for sure. Because I mean, everybody's worked hard to get there, and all the fans know it's a big night. So, I think it should have stayed personally because the thing with this virus, we don't know when everything's gonna come back. I mean, there was a rumor that WrestleMania was gonna be postponed to June and take over at Madison Square Garden. Now, as somebody who lives in Toronto and an 8-hour drive from New York, I would have gotten in the car and immediately went 160 on the highway towards New York City. No doubt about it. Tag you guys along. But I guess it makes sense because you don't know what the future holds. And it's something. It gives us something. Now, in saying that, we know how stubborn Vince is. We know how stubborn Vince just likes, like both of you are like, oh hell yeah. We know how like he just wants everything to perfection. Has the stubbornness gone too far with Vince?
A little bit. Like, you think about it, the Buccaneer Stadium, Raymond James Stadium, is not going to get used until what? Late August, the earliest?
Yep. So the preseason? Yep.
Why couldn't you maybe look at doing it in July? Like, why couldn't you maybe... I guess maybe it's because they want the storylines that they're planning to move along.
Yeah.
And you don't want to drag those out. But you can move things around where you can set it up a little bit better for WrestleMania. I even feel like the rest of this year's WrestleMania really wasn't getting the right type of build up.
Ooh,
like
interesting.
the only match I saw getting the right build up is Randy Orton and Edge.
Yep.
The only match that I think is getting the proper build up, not rushed. It's progressing the right way. There's the animosity, the hate's really there. I'm not feeling it with the other matches. So if you could, Vince could have used this time, postpone it, maybe move WrestleMania to a later date, and that gives you a chance to work some things around so you can build up the hype for WrestleMania a little bit more.
Yep. RJ, anything else?
No, I agree for sure. I think that would have worked out for sure. But as Jose said, Vince is stubborn. He probably didn't want to change his plans at all. They definitely want to get this out of the way. And I am happy that it's happening because it is WrestleMania. and we are going to see something very, very, very unique because of it.
Yeah.
And maybe if they postpone it to July, like, is that optimistic? July?
At this point, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, I thought,
or something.
yeah, I mean, at this point, I thought that maybe May everything goes back to normal, and all of us are back in our jobs. All of us are now like comfortably taking transit again. You know, we're seeing our friends, we're away from our families,
Yeah.
and now it's like, is it even a thing, right? And it's funny because the New York rumor, right, the one in MSG, New York is such a mess that would like New York even be ready to host any sort of capacity, right? I mean, like MLB, for example, right? I mean, like, can even have Yankees and Mets games again? Like, you just don't know anymore. Like, and then, but I mean, that's one thing I legitimately never thought about. And More City brought up is that Raymond James Stadiums is not going to be used until the summer, unless there's maybe contests in there. But most NFL stadiums are a dead zone. They really, really are a dead zone. If anything, it's probably why WWE has WrestleManias in the first place at NFL stadiums, because nothing's happening, nothing at all. So I mean, now that this is happening, now I think now that we have to accept what's happening, now we have to say, okay, this is it. This is it. What do you expect? What do you think can go wrong?
What could go wrong?
You can start with that.
Well, I don't know. Well, the fact that there's no fans there could really not help the idea.
Okay, well, let's start from the obvious.
So the rumor, or I don't even know if it's a rumor anymore, that they're going to be taping it in different settings or different areas. I don't know what that entails. Like, maybe they're just going to do it at a bunch of different arenas around the world, which actually might be kind of cool. I think that would give it a nice, unique sort of feel. But it'll be very interesting to see two different, probably 3 to 4 hour shows of straight no fan wrestling. Though will be very interesting to see. I don't know if that'll really have a huge. I think it will. It will affect it, obviously, in some way. Having matches, especially probably long matches too, in front of nobody with no real highs, lows. You can't really feed on the fans, so that might affect it in some way. But I'm hoping that the performers that go out there can just like kind of show what they can do and just make it kind of work and make it unique. As we said before, I like the fact that it's going to be split up into 2 nights. I think that that's really going to work for them because, as you said, for starters, I didn't even know that that's how long you were at WrestleMania.
Yeah, because you gotta. I mean, you have to get there on time, and if you were driving, find parking, and then get settled, find your seat, and then just chill, and then the pre-show gets underway, and I mean, it's fine, but yeah, it's long.
I was thinking like 6 hours, maybe. Like, you were there for like 8 hours.
I was there a full day. It was a full day thing. I was nearly. I would say that I was out of my Airbnb for, I think, 12 hours. I think, because we went to go get food at around 12, and then we took the subway down, and then we took another train to New Jersey. So it was a long. I mean, not to mention that after the show closed, it took us 2 to 3 hours just to get in an Uber, and then it started raining on us, and then we got. Let's see. I left my Airbnb 11 to 12 in the afternoon. 11 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon. I got back to my Airbnb in Brooklyn, like the idiots that we were, thinking that Brooklyn was a smart idea, because everything else was in Brooklyn in Manhattan. We got back 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning after all that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, New Jersey is an awful WrestleMania location. I mean, LA is gonna be great next year, but
for sure.
Yeah. Morassutti, what do you think can go wrong with all this?
Making this seem like every other show we've been watching right now, right? The thing is, WrestleMania is supposed to be different than everything else. So my worry is, how do you make it seem different? RJ brought up the idea of different settings. That's my biggest worry. It's just like you'll lose a lot of people if it kind of just feels bland and the same. Like, the shows have been fine. I haven't really had an issue. I like how they've been mixing in some clips just to give you a break from the no crowd atmosphere. I think, being able to rewatch the Royal Rumble or watching the Elimination Chambers, that at least gives you a break in between. Maybe that's something they might be considering, so that you're not constantly watching a no audience thing, which
maybe
it's a tough TV watch. I know that they're trying to make it the best for TV. There's a lot of awkwardness at times. Like, So they've got to. I think they just have to figure out a way to make it unique so that it's not bland.
Mm-hmm. You guys brought up the good points about the different settings because I did hear that Connecticut might be a place where they film stuff, or somewhere else in Florida or whatnot, which technically would be the first time since WrestleMania 2 was filmed in different locations, because that was three different cities, which was a big waste of time, but I don't want to get into that. And that's a big factor as well, because, and it's also a good way to avoid the restrictions of the CDC. If you have different locations to film something, you can keep that going there, and then also save time in your recording as well, because while, let's say, like, you're doing a couple matches in Orlando, you can have something else in Connecticut at the headquarters. Again, I don't know what the situation is going to be. That's a big one, and that's also a very good point. Morassutti is like, how long will these nights be? I think you guys brought it up earlier. It's probably 3 to 4 hours. But yeah, will there be filler? I hope not, because I know a lot of people have been complaining about watching a full Royal Rumble again, or a match from WrestleMania in the past, and so on and so forth. That's the big one for sure. And I would at least hope that they try to make it somewhat presentable, like maybe hopefully change up the setting, change the arena up a little bit, give that WrestleMania field. Obviously there's not going to be any pyro, but if they can shoot off a couple sparklers, down. Fine by me.
Like the Gilbert sparklers.
Dude, outside
I watched his full entrance the other day for the first time in a while, and I'm like, this is just gold. Like, this is so funny.
I like a fire extinguisher. I know they've had Becky's theme, but it'd be great if they had like fire extinguishers on the side, just like spraying Becky. Yeah, it's weird, and obviously, and of course, this is pay-per-view history, because it's the first WWE pay-per-view taped since SummerSlam 1992. That happened in the UK. It was taped 2 days later. It came to North America, which was, again, like, that's a long streak, and probably why they don't want to do it again in the UK, which has many people happy about that. And I think that's the other thing that could go wrong, is that, like, my concern are spoilers, because there are people inside WWE that still love to tell insiders, like Meltzer, like Alvarez, whoever they are. They like them saying, hey, here's what's going on. And I did hear that they're filming different endings to make sure that does not happen. So they can film an ending with Drew winning, they can film an ending with Brock winning, and then from there, and then the edit suite, they decide how do we want the storyline to continue. Thank God, number one, because I've been telling a lot of people, I'm going to say it on Twitter, if somebody spoils this for me, I'm going to find them and kick their ass, because I do not want this spoiled. This is, if Backlash was spoiled, fine, whatever, it's Backlash. But if WrestleMania gets spoiled, go to hell. Go to hell. So is that the right approach, that they're taping different endings to make sure that this can go as smooth as it can?
I actually don't think that's a bad idea. I was going to ask you guys, actually, how likely do you think it is for WrestleMania to get spoiled? And as you said, I think taping different endings is a way to try and counteract that. There will be some, obviously, higher up people that are going to know what the real ending is, but hopefully those people obviously don't spoil it.
I don't think so. I think they just... Sorry, go.
I think they just need to just, like, keep the winner of the match to, like, just, like, maybe the referee and, like, the 2 performers, and that's it. Like, you need to know, I think as little people need to know the finish to the matches as possible.
Yeah, you need to have, like, a small group, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, taping different finishes, little people know, is the easiest way. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, and maybe just one announcer, so he's not totally...
Well, again, I was... Here was your winner. Who? See, at least I think with that, Morassutti, I think that because they're filming the different endings, they're gonna get the announcer to say that, and then, like, I don't even think, like, somebody like Mike Rome or Greg Hamilton will know. I mean, like RJ say, like, Vince has to have, like, 1 or 2 people who he knows are gonna shut their mouths throughout this whole thing. They're probably gonna have, like, some insiders there. They're gonna say, okay, here's how this finished, and here's how that finished. But really, I guess nobody will know until they hit export and premiere.
For sure. And I was going to ask you guys, actually, say they tape from 3 or 4 different venues. Who are your announced teams? Who do you think should all pair up?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Like this.
Two.
You have the NXT announced. You have 3 announced crews.
Yeah.
So if they do 3 venues and you're covered in that regard, I would love to see them experiment with different guys trying it too.
Yeah, like Triple H was hilarious on that one.
So funny.
Yeah, he's been great. Like you can if a wrestler isn't participating in the event. You can have him do some
Yeah,
commentating.
they had Oscar and they had Oscar on commentary, which was hilarious because I mean,
Very annoying though.
yeah, sure, but I mean, the great thing is we don't know Japanese. She legitimately could have been swearing in Japanese, and we would have been like,
We would
"That's
not
great."
I would have had no idea.
Yeah, I would have no idea.
I think the good thing about that Morassutti is like my way I would kind of like quote unquote get around it is like, let's say you film all the SmackDown matches on Wednesday. Let's say because yesterday they started. Let's say all the SmackDown matches are on Wednesday, and then the commentating crew, Michael Cole and Corey Graves, like, assuming Corey Graves is because I know he's been gone for the last few weeks. And then maybe if let's say day 2 is when they film like those additional scenes, you know, I know for example AJ Styles and The Undertaker win a quote unquote boneyard match. I don't know what the hell that's gonna be.
Is it gonna be like a buried alive match?
Ooh, that'd be the first one since Kane and Taker, I believe, at Bragging Rights.
Actual
Sorry?
You can have it in an actual graveyard somewhere, like
Yeah.
It's historic. It's a first, but I think I heard that one's gonna be like elsewhere. And then at the same time, the other rumor that we heard was that this was gonna be the return of the American Badass and Biker Taker. So maybe he has space for like the bike if they go somewhere else. But before you get on the point is, I think like, you know, have the announcers film one day, and then if they need to travel somewhere else, go and then film it there live. Because again, I didn't even bring that up. I'm sure we're gonna get the NXT commentators for the NXT matches. Or is it just it's a match, right? It's just Charlotte and Rhea.
I think it's just Rhea, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you could. I didn't even think of it. You could like bounce it around. That's a very good point, Morassutti. Well done. See, you guys, Morassutti can think. That's what I like about Morassutti.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes
he's got potential.
Thanks for the confidence there.
Oh, no worries. Sometimes I do, like, for those that follow me personally, sometimes I like to tell them to shut up. And I'm trying to find that. I've been trying to find it all podcasts so far. So we're going to see if we can sneak it in and tell them to shut up before the day is done. But anyway.
He keeps making good points, though. Like, it's tough.
Great. I know. I kind of don't want to tell them to shut up, but it's tradition.
Veteran, you're not going to get me off my toes.
So now it's going to happen. You know, it is what it is. What happens after? What do we do next? What's going to happen post WrestleMania? Because I know the Orlando lockdown is not going to be lifted until I think the night after WrestleMania, Monday, April 6th. And again, that's if they lift it. What happens now? What happens in the shows? Because they can't film anything in the Performance Center anymore. Like, what do you do?
So what's the next pay-per-view after? Is it Money in the Bank?
No. I did hear a rumor. I think it was supposed to be a Saudi show, but
the Saudi show for sure.
But that definitely won't happen. No way. I mean, ironically, Saudi Arabia is actually a smart place to be at because I know you have to have special permission to enter the country, don't you? Something along those lines with the princes, I think.
I'm not an expert on Saudi Arabian travel, unfortunately.
I don't know. I thought I could trust you guys. I have no idea. I mean,
I'm looking at the schedule now. May 10th was Money in the Bank. That was.
It was.
Yeah. See, I thought I saw that they were moving it up this year. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that's the thing. Like, what? Like, do you still have like? There's a chance I think like the streak of Raw and SmackDown could end after all these years. I know that I remember when they had like a couple years back, 2015, I think there was a blizzard in Pittsburgh. Could be 2015. I was
going to bring that up, yeah.
And then they just had a show inside their headquarters. Is that what you do for the next like?
I think there's no way they're canceling the shows. No way.
No.
They're longest running episodic TV show of all time. They're not letting that type
God.
Like that.
Like we just said, they're taping WrestleMania. They will figure out a way to have Raw and SmackDown.
And NXT.
Fox needs the programming too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they need something. And so does USA.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have Fox money for sure. I think they might just cut promos back. They might just air promos, air more repeats. Like, I don't know, something is getting aired from 8 to 11 on Raw. Like, something's getting aired. I don't know what it is. It might be I don't know, it might just be Vince talking to the crowd for a couple hours, but like something's getting aired, like David said. I don't know if they're gonna cancel it, but something's getting aired. There might not be any wrestling at all, but something's getting played.
Yeah. I don't know. That's it's up in the air. And like, what do you even do for Money in the Bank? How do you even have a ladder match at this rate? If there is a place to have a ladder match, I mean, I don't know. We're in such a weird spot in the world.
We are in a weird spot. This is unseen of. It feels like a movie, man. Like we're this is unheard of, unseen of material.
This is a precursor to like Zombieland, and like knowing what Zombieland is like. with no one out, no one around, and you're just trying to survive.
Can I just point out that people legitimately want zombies to come out of this? Like they're like, "Where's my zombie?" I'm like, don't actually legitimately hope for that. Don't say that. Like, it's already bad enough in the world. What do we need more zombies for? Or if we ever had zombies in
More
us.
zombies.
Sorry.
Where have you been, Jose, in the world?
He just watches a lot of The Walking Dead, so he just.
I don't watch anything zombie
No,
related.
I don't
I'm
watch
not a
it either.
zombie guy at all. Well, I think we can wrap it up here, gentlemen. I mean, is there any final points you guys want to add as we get ready for the quote unquote biggest show of the year? It is, but I say quote unquote because what is it now at this rate? Any final thoughts?
Well, one thing I wanted to bring up. Say they run SmackDown on Saturday and Raw on Sunday. How upset does the other way around? Sorry. Drew on SmackDown and Roman on Sunday. How upset do you think the general consensus of
Ooh.
wrestling fans
So if they have
are going to be?
so you're saying Drew.
So you have two main events this year. Do you think people are going to be upset if Roman Goldberg is on the Sunday and Drew and Brock is on the Saturday?
I think so.
With the Fox thing, right?
I think so too.
I think it's funny because I thought that I feel like because like that was what was announced that like for night one Drew Brock headlines night one and then Roman what's his face Goldberg headlines night two. I think with the schedule I think that was gonna happen anyways. I think that was gonna be the last match regardless in Raymond James, and I think right now because to me that it looks like the ultimate main event, the last thing on the last night, kind of like New Japan. You know they had like Okada in the last night for night two. Yep. I think fans are going to be pissed, and I think we're going to get more Twitter people continuously banging on AEW's better, you know, as if they forgot the circumstances. But I think that's the case, and I think we're going to get a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know,
That's
nothing.
True. Never thought of that.
Yeah, right. Like it's, and I mean, I had a lot of people arguing that Edge and Randy should be the main event of night two.
That might not be a bad idea in the situation.
It's not, and that's the other thing too. I forgot to bring up how special it's going to be for Edge. First wrestling match, if you don't count the Rumble, his first match in 9 years. His last, sorry,
first one-on-one match.
Yeah, first one-on-one match. His last one was at WrestleMania 27 against Alberto Del Rio, which opened the show that night. So I feel bad for somebody like him who's been waiting for so long, and you get trapped in a stadium, in a little training center filled with nobody. There's somebody going outside on a bike. I don't know why, but
it's Taker.
So
the first venue for WrestleMania is actually Jose's apartment complex.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. All here at Belo Horizonte is the name of the building, and we're all going to be everybody's going to be rounding up at the little playground in the building, ready to quote unquote kick some ass on the grand stage of the Belo Horizonte playground. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this. I know I want to have somebody local for the first show. RJ, I know I want to have you, especially because you know we go way back with this, and it sucks that we had that abrupt ending. And Morassutti, thank you so much for coming in as well. And again, sorry to you both for annoying the hell out of you guys with the logos, with the theme name, with everything and everything.
Hey, no worries, man.
Like I said, I value your opinions. That's all. So that's why I will be annoying, because I value the hell out of both of you and everybody in the group.
I feel valued. I do feel valued. Truly
do. See, David, somebody feels valued.
No comment.
Yeah, and of course, we do wish that our buddy Austin Owens, the third member of the original trio, or second version of the trio, was here. Couldn't be here, unfortunately. So once again, gentlemen, thank you so much. Hopefully, we can do this again down the road, because I know we're gonna be.
I'm isolated, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really isolation. I'm sure we're gonna try to find a scoundrel something in terms of the world of wrestling, right, guys? I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah. So
for sure.
Thank you both, gentlemen.
Thank
RJ,
you,
thank you. Morassutti, thank you. We'll talk to you guys when we can.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Ci vediamo.
Shut up, Morassutti. Yes, I got it.
Hey.
I got it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hey, man, no problem.
You made it to the end. Thank you for listening all the way through. If you're here still, thank goodness, because we try to entertain you as much as we can. Just some notes. The one thing we forgot to bring up, and I think it's somewhat crucial, but fun, not crucial, but fun, is that as we were talking about me being there at WrestleMania last year, the fact that there are now I wasn't there t-shirts. RJ wanted to bring that up, and we thought about it after the fact, but it'll happen. You know, we'll forget some things here and there, and I will say that if shipping to Canada wasn't $85,000 from WWEshop.com, I would gladly get an I Wasn't There WrestleMania t-shirt, because that is easily one of the best things that I've seen. Thank you to RJ and David for coming on today. I know I said thank you a lot, and I do that a lot. To be like, thank you. But again, seriously, thank you, because they're really, really great friends of mine. And what a great way to start our discussions here on Under the Middle Rope with two amazing gentlemen. And moving forward, next week, we like we said, we're still getting WrestleMania. I have a sweater to kind of represent that. We are still getting it next week. I'm going to be bringing in a couple of international friends of mine, because that's the great thing about wrestling. Like I said last week in episode 1, it's that wrestling fans are like a family, and you can meet them from anywhere. And so we're having a friend from the UK, a friend from the United States. You will find out who they are next week. But next week, we're going to be discussing our WrestleMania predictions. We're going to predict the show. We're going to see what we get. Nonetheless, it is what it is. And yeah, we're going to see what we can do from here. So that'll be our show next week, our WrestleMania 36 predictions of night 1 and night 2. And that is that. Subscribe to me here on YouTube, Under the Middle Rope. And of course, follow along on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And of course, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Under Middle Rope. That's all for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. Have a great one, guys. Take care. Bye.